Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yugioh VRains episode review. This time we will be reviewing episode 30 of Yugioh VRains, and usually the only good thing about recap episodes is the episode that follows is usually very, very plot heavy. It's usually very action-packed, and this episode, in my opinion, did not disappoint. General impressions, I really enjoyed this episode, and I thought it was another good bounce back, just like 22 is a good bounce back from 21's recap, with Gnome being introduced and Faust and Vyra, and you had that mini arc kind of start. I thought this was a very good bounce back episode, a good plot moving episode from episode 29's recap. So again, the recaps suck, but at least we can look forward to the afterwards, I guess, the after effect of the recaps, which is usually a very good episode. So this episode was really, really interesting. There's a lot of really cool things that I cannot wait to talk to you guys about. The first thing is we start and we see all these like waterfalls coming in from the underground, and we learn later in the episode that this is like the reprocessing plant where all the unused data flows into, and it literally looked like a sewer except with data instead of like sewage water, which that was kind of a cool like little similarity there. But the main issue here is like the center, the core of the reprocessing plant, which is something that clearly, most likely, I should say, the Knights of Hanoi have put in to Link VRains without anyone being able to know, because on the surface, nothing was going on. And it wasn't, besides Playmaker, or besides Yusaku, same character, but besides, like, his Link Sense, which we also, I believe that's a new term we got, that he has Link Sense, which lets him sense things going on in Link VRains in the outside world. We knew he had an ability like this, because he saw Revolver flying on, I believe it was Topologic in, like, episode 3, when he left, like, the truck, Kusanagi's truck, and he saw him flying outside of Link VRains. So that was the first time they, like, saw each other. So we knew that there was some kind of ability that Yusaku had that let him sense things from outside. We just get a term from it. We just get a term for it now, that it is called Link Sense, which it's interesting that Ignis did not use that term before, unless he didn't, I can't remember, but maybe he's just like slowly starting to learn more and more. He was very adamant on not exploring this episode, which he usually is, so I didn't think anything was out of the ordinary there, but we have this like heart, this core in the middle of the reprocessing plant that every time like it spurred out energy, it was actually really gross. It looked like a heart with like tentacles. It was really gross, and every time the tentacles like kind of whipped or moved, Yusaku sensed it. And there were even a few times where when it moved violently, Yusaku literally like spun off his board or like tripped on the ground. We saw him once when that crazy monster was chasing him at the end, which was a trip. I mean, that was insane. And as the episode progressed, my anxiety just built and built and built, and I thought they did a good job. Like, you really did feel like something was going to happen, like something horrible was going to happen, and I thought this episode's dramaticness really was good in this episode. Another thing, the beginning of this episode was marvelous. We see the full-on white-haired character. This has to be the same character that we saw at the end of 28 that we have had a lot of debate over who this is. Is it Revolver? Is it Spectre? Is it a character we just don't know of yet? And he basically tells Kusanagi this will be the last time he will be visiting the truck for a while. And as he walks away, I'll show the picture on screen, you can see him look at Yusaku. And the dramatic irony here, the show has actually done really well with dramatic irony, especially with this character and these interactions. And what dramatic irony is, it's just when the audience knows stuff that the characters don't. And I think they've done it marvelously with these three. We clearly know that this white-haired character knows Yusaku is Playmaker and even looks at him as if to say to himself, like, yep, I know your secret, bud. And then he walks away. And I think the best part here is he's foreshadowing to Kusanagi and Yusaku, the two people that are probably the most adamant and the most able to stop what's about to happen, that the end of the world or the end of everything as we know is about to happen, that literally the apocalypse is beginning. Kusanagi just thinks, oh, he's probably moving out of town, oh man, I lost another customer, when meanwhile this guy is foreshadowing the end of everything to Kusanagi and Yusaku, and they have no idea. So I thought that scene was brilliant, and I just love when shows do that, when they tease you about these interactions and you know a lot more than the characters do, and you just wish Kusanagi and Yusaku knew that this white-haired character was whoever he may be. We really don't know who he is, but I think based on the fact that he's very aware of what's going to happen, that the end is happening, and it seems Spectre has kind of been in the dark for a while about everything, I'm betting a lot of money that this white-haired character is Revolver. I would be very surprised. I would have been surprised if it wasn't Revolver, and this little interaction kind of just furthers that belief that this is Revolver. Now, again, is this character Kusanagi's younger brother? Because I still do believe Revolver is Kusanagi's younger brother. That's a little more of a stretch, and a lot of people will say, well, and a lot of people said this about 21, wouldn't he recognize his younger brother? And I replied to a few people in the comment section, I should just say it now, that if Kusanagi hasn't seen his brother since he was like 6 or 7, and he hasn't seen his brother in like 10 years, he probably isn't going to recognize his brother. Now, maybe it's probably easier for Revolver or his younger brother to recognize him, so if this was his younger brother, he'd probably recognize Kusanagi, but maybe he went through so much stress, and that's why his hair turned white, because we've seen that with anime characters before. A few of you pointed out that I believe Tokyo Ghoul did that, where one of their characters, their hair turned white because of stress and torture, so with how messed up Yusaku's backstory is and how we know Kusanagi's brother's heart is shrouded in darkness, that's very well possible. And so maybe he was just brainwashed and reprogrammed that he doesn't remember anything about his past and he doesn't remember Kusanagi. A bit of a stretch, but I still think that theory has a few lifelines hanging on, but probably not. But still, I believe this white-haired man is Revolver. So I thought that was a really, really awesome scene. We then see Emma enter, or doesn't enter Link VRains yet. She's talking to Akira, and she's basically, Akira tells her that, Akira tips her off and says, hey, something's going on. Link VRains is Soltech is hiring more programmers, they're hiring more bots. Clearly they know something's going on that the general public doesn't, or something along those lines. He tips off Emma. Emma says that she's gonna try to get whatever it is, she's gonna try to capture it. And Akira says, okay, I hope you sell it to me afterwards for a discount, and they have a cool kind of like friendship moment there. Emma then goes into Link VRains, right as Yusaku goes into Link VRains, and Emma sends, actually, as soon as Emma goes into Link VRains, we see a bunch of duels going on, and one of the cards we saw is Baby Dragon, which is awesome. I love the throwbacks to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And really to all the Yu-Gi-Ohs. I just love when they do that. And Baby Dragon, if you do not know, because maybe you didn't watch the original, that was a very prominent monster used by Janucci or Joey Wheeler, so that was really cool to see. Maybe Jesse Wheeler was dueling. I got to take a better look. I got to take a better look at the at the character. So she sends out all these fireflies, these yellow fireflies, to look for treasure. Yusaku picks them up. Playmaker finds them, and they lead to a portal in the which is really a sewer that was hidden out of sight. And I guess Soltech obviously doesn't want anyone to find these sewer areas, mainly because they're dangerous, which we see in a few minutes after this. And Playmaker and Emma have a bit of an interaction, and Ignis is like, all right, let's just let her explore, and we'll talk to her and see what she finds. And Playmaker says it straight up. She's like, our goals are a lot different. Playmaker's trying to stop the Knights. He's trying to almost save everything, whereas Ghost Girl, she just wants treasure. She's just in it for the money, and Playmaker knows that. Playmaker, I think, is the only character that can read Emma decently well, and even though he reads her really well, she still has that piece of data that she stole from the banks in episode 18 when Yusaku finished his duel against Akira. So even Ghost Girl has a little bit of an upper hand, I guess you can say, on Playmaker, where she's done things that Playmaker can't even figure out. So again, the cat and mouse games between them is great, and we see another cat and mouse game when they get to a fork in the road. Emma knows that the treasure is right, and so to divert Yusaku, she says, let's play a game, or she's like, she actually asks him, which way do you want to go? And Playmaker doesn't really answer, and Emma says, all right, Ignis says, let's play a game. Emma says it's great, and the second Emma picked at what game they were playing, I knew it was rigged. I think everyone knew it was rigged, and she says, whoever draws the prettier card is going to win, and Ignis draws, and she filled a dummy deck, very similar to how Playmaker did, or Yusaku did his dummy deck when he was in the dueling club with Aoi, and Aoi wanted to see his deck. So she basically just filled her deck with ugly cards. I know this card was a callback to Duel Monsters. I know this is like a Duel Links era card. It was like an original era card, but I just can't remember the name of it. So, I mean, sure, you guys will let me know down below, but Ignis picks this card, and it looks disgusting, and Emma's like, I don't even need to pick, I win, and she goes right. And clearly, if she picked, she probably wouldn't have won, or it would have been a tie, because her deck was probably her deck could have been filled with 40 of these cards for all we know. So she's smart, she's cunning, And Ignis had no idea, but Playmaker knew, Yusaku knew, and I think we as the fans knew. As soon as she picked that game, I knew it was rigged. So Emma goes the way of the treasure, and Yusaku goes left. And as Yusaku is walking, as Playmaker is walking, we see this like shark thing in the water, and I literally say out loud in my dorm room at like 7 in the morning, I'm like, alright, what the F was that? That is literally disgusting. And this thing comes out of the water, and this thing is literally trying to kill Playmaker. It's literally trying to end Yusaku's life. Like, this isn't in the middle of a duel. This isn't like, you know, I mean, it is virtual. I wasn't going to say this isn't virtual reality. It is, but you figure that if these blows land, Playmaker's probably dead. This thing's literally trying to crush him to death. And I felt like we were just inserted into Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Souls edition, where Playmaker is now dodge rolling and he's running away from this huge, disgusting beast. And as this, you know, these sequences are going on, you as the viewer just get more and more like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Oh my god, he's going to get killed. And so that was really good. And as that's going on, parallel to that, Emma discovers the huge core that she cannot capture with the data. The Fireflies go down the path. The Fireflies go down another tunnel. Emma kind of swings over to it, and an amazing scene. As soon as she lands on the platform, Revolver is coming, and as the Firefly light flickers, Revolver's face is just shown, and he's walking closer and closer. He calls Emma out. He traps her in this room. He says, you can only leave if you defeat me. And so I guess they're going to speed duel around this like giant, disgusting heart tentacle core thing. I don't even know what to call it, but that is the next duel that we are getting, ladies and gentlemen. Revolver versus Ghost Girl, which is going to be a very, very awesome duel. I'm very excited for it as Playmaker is running away from this. I'm pretty sure this is a duel monster. I feel like I recognize this monster somewhat, so if any of you guys know what monster this is supposed to represent, that would be awesome. The one that Playmaker is running away from. But yeah, so now they are in the sewer. Playmaker and Revolver are near each other. Revolver is going to duel against Ghost Girl. I don't know who's going to win this. I don't think Ghost Girl really has that much of a chance, to be honest. I think Revolver really needs this win, because if he loses, he doesn't really have any credibility, right? If he loses, he doesn't have any credibility. Ghost Girl escapes, and then what's going to happen? He's going to duel Playmaker coming off a loss against Ghost Girl. He's probably going to defeat Ghost Girl, and I just don't know what's going to happen to her. Is she going to maybe be put into a coma? Is he going to use her as, you know, like, is he going to hold her hostage and force Playmaker to duel him? I kind of hope not, because that's parallel to when he held Blue Angel hostage, and if Yusaku didn't win, then Blue Angel was never getting out of a coma. So if someone's life is on the line in a hostage situation, usually the protagonist becomes invincible. So I'm just hoping that that's not necessarily the case, mainly because I want Revolver to beat Playmaker. I want him to beat Playmaker. I want Playmaker to show vulnerability, and I just think if Emma is being held hostage, it's tough for that to happen, because when someone else's life is on the line, again, the protagonist usually becomes invincible. But anyway, guys, really awesome episode. A lot happened, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys about episode 30 down below. As for the contest, I will show the Google Sheet soon. I have it finalized. We have not seen any traps or spells in episodes 29 and 30. We still have through 37, but I haven't had anything to show because the number is 0. But again, I will start showing that at the beginning of the reviews, the Google Sheets, with everyone's entry for the contest. So let me know all your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you have an amazing day.